Today we're going to make magic together in the form of a wall-mounted desk. This is a general overview of the tools I'm using today. The only material you need to go out and get is two 1x4x8s. I always cut a little bit of material off of each end because it's rarely straight and usually banged up. Here I'm cutting two pieces at 24 inches and another two pieces at 23¼ inches. Set the Craig jig to accommodate 3/4 inch material, and we're going to use 1¼ inch pocket screws with it. Pre-drill 2 holes on each of the 23¼ inch pieces that we cut. We're going to join these boards and make an L shape. So these should measure out 24 inches end to end. If not, something went wrong. So this is interesting. What I thought were straight boards are actually bowed, and neither of them are square. So if you take a carpenter square, you can see this one is coming in less than 90, so I'm gonna have to push it out. And this one is greater than 90 degrees, so I'm gonna have to pull this one in. When I buy boards at the big box stores, most of them aren't straight. So I usually take a board and look down it like this and try and gauge and do my best. But it's been a really hot and humid summer so far. So when it was acclimating to my garage, it may have warped, or perhaps I just picked out bad boards to begin with. But that's kind of what happens when you go to the big box stores, which is what I do. Right now I'm measuring 6 3/8 inches off of each end, and this is where our angled piece is going to go. Flip it over and measure 7 inches off of each end, and this is where we're going to attach the angled piece from the back. We're going to countersink the screws and then sink 1-inch screws in there. So at this point in the build, we need to cut a middle piece with two 45s on it, like this. You're gonna need a miter saw. I'll draw out the angles. So when you hold it like this, it's gonna be from the tip of this angle to the tip of this angle, it's going to be 24 inches. Does that make sense? This is pretty straightforward. I'm just setting my miter saw to 45 degrees and turning the wood on its side and making the cuts. If you miss the mark a little bit, it's always better to, let me see how to put this. It's always better to cut a little longer than shorter, because you can take more and more material off, but you can't get any material back. Similar to life. Liberally apply wood glue on each side of the angled support piece, and then lay it down, clamp it, and we're going to attach it with the 1-inch screws. I'm using a slightly larger bit than the head of my 1-inch screws so that they can be countersunk. And then I'm going to go in with a slightly smaller bit than the screw shaft so that I don't crack the material. Yeah, that looks really nice. I mean, not as nice as you, but wipe any excess glue with a wet paper towel, rag, your shirt, your wife's pregnancy gown because she wore it for like 5 months straight. I'm marking 3¼ inches off of the end, and this is where I'm going to countersink the bolts.
Reload.
I'm using that 3/4 inch speedboard bit, and it's gonna be awesome. I'm not quite sure how deep I need to go, so I'm just being very cautious. Taking my time, feeling it out, seeing how it goes. Finally, I'm going to use a slightly smaller bit than my bolts, and I'm going to pre-drill through this. I don't want any of this stuff to crack. Again, I measured about 3 1/8 inch off the inside here so that I can fit my drill in, and I'm doing the same exact thing. having some trouble with the camera angle here. Bear with me. Now that we took care of the wall side of the brackets, we're going to flip it over and take care of the top side that will be going into the tabletop. Similar to the back, where we attach the angled cross pieces, we're going to countersink our screws so that they're concealed underneath the desk. Okay, we're all set to sand these suckers. Let's do it. You know, I probably should have sanded these before I joined them, but I'm all about instant gratification. I want to get these things built and hung and have a desk. I like to sand on a 45-degree angle on all of the edges. It's like a manual router. I'm using this Polyshades product again from Minwax because it's stain and polyurethane in one, and I love shortcuts. So I'm hoping it goes on well, but let's see. I can't seem to understand why it's going on so dark. The swatch on the side of the bucket is much lighter. It's even got more of a honey tone to it. And I want that honey, and it's not there. So I just can't comprehend why there's no honey. What I realized was after sanding it down after the first coat, when I put on the second coat, I started to get that rich color I was looking for.